The bridle can be such a mess. Let's figure it out. What to look for and how to fix it. Avoid this and how to make the bridle fit right. How to put the bit in right, not wrong, and how not to do it and why. I'll share great tips for bridle fitting, the horse's comfort and trust, and safety in this video. And not to forget what not to do.
This is one of my ponies. His name is Junior. First of all, when I'm going to put a bit in his mouth, I want to make sure that it's attached to the bridle the right way. So you look like this, it's curved down. If the bit is like this, it's uncomfortable. Okay? It's like a nutcracker. We want to have it like this. Before you put the bit in the horse's mouth, you want to know that his teeth are okay. So we, the veterinarian, check the horse's teeth once or twice a year, because we don't want them to have any sharp teeth or anything wrong in the mouth. We need to know that they're okay. That's the right way. And we live in Norway, and it's cold here. So before we put the bridle in, I warm the bit a little bit. I don't want him to have real cold bit in his mouth. So I'll just hang on to it for a little while so it gets a little warmer. I'm going to put the bridle on. I put it on my left arm. Put the reins over his neck, right behind the ears, so I know I can control him. And then we have this very nice halters we use when the kids are putting bridle on the ponies. Undo the buckle here. And the horse is still attached. And then I have my hand. Oh, he wants to have the bit in his mouth. So I control here, and I do not push the bit. The bit into his mouth. I just ask him to open. I put my thumb in here, push a little on the tongue, and he will open the mouth. And I hang onto his nose so he won't throw his head up and hit his teeth with the bit. And I put the ears on the place. The horse's ears are sensitive, so we want to be a little careful with them. The horse's ears, the horse's neck, his eyes, and the mouth. And the brow band, we want to make it here where it's a little loose. It's not going to press anywhere. And like here, the brow band is not supposed to be up on the ears, and it's not supposed to be on the bone here. Here is where it's going to be. And then we'll put the noseband on. I want the horse to be able to chew, use his tongue and swallow. The noseband is not supposed to keep the pony's mouth shut. It's supposed to remind him to shut the mouth or close the mouth when he can feel the noseband tight. So if he opens the mouth, then the noseband will tighten, and then he'll, get a little reminder, please close your mouth. Right? We want the horse to have a closed mouth, because then the connection with the bit is better. But the horse uses his mouth to say or to express pain. If he's like really opening the mouth and running away, then you know he is in pain. So if we close the mouth mechanically, then he's not able to tell us. The horses can't scream, so we want them to be able to show their language in other ways. The throat lash on this bridle is a little lower. It's not supposed to be very tight. So he's free from throat lash here. And this This bridle also have this piece in the neck that is a little wider. So being a little wider like this, it doesn't have so much pressure on a narrow point in the neck. We know it's the atlas vertebra right underneath here, the bone, and then the skin, and then the bridle. So it's not much padding. So we want to have the bridle padded. If you look at him now, he has his neck low, his ears are loose, and I think he's pretty happy with the situation. Nå skal jeg snakke om hva som skjer. This is Muffin, and I'll show you this bridle. It's another kind of bridle, another kind of noseband, and all the different things I want to tell you about. Muffin, somebody must have at some point hit his teeth with a bit. Oh, it's really hard because he doesn't like it, you know. This is the wrong way to do it because he's a little insecure. He wants to put his head up. So if you don't hang on to the nose and help him to keep his nose down, he's gonna put his head up. So let's just see when people do it wrong. They do like this and he says no, all right? And then they say, oh, they do like this. And then they smack and they really press the bit hard. He doesn't do it right now. Now it's good. Sometimes he just throws his head up it into his teeth, and they're like making a big deal of it. And I think he knows that I'm not doing it usually, but before, he often pulled the head really high up, and he was obviously a little scared of hitting his teeth. All right, Muffin has a big forelock, and I'm gonna tell you a little bit about where the bit is gonna be in his mouth. If you look here now, it's way too tight, right? You see here, it's like a lot of scrunches in the skin. So this is way too tight. In here, they have this area with no teeth, and then the bit is supposed to lie at least 1 centimeter away from the molars. This bit, like this, is too close to the molars. So I'm gonna lower it a little bit. Now you see, it's more relaxed skin here. So that's fine. And then this is a drop noseband. We use the drop noseband on young horses until they're at least 4.5 years old, because that's when they change their molars. The milk teeth are shedding. If we have an English noseband here when the milk teeth are shedding, then we don't know if it hurts or not. So maybe the horse has a real bad day and doesn't listen, and you know what? And then the only reason is he actually hurts in his teeth because of the noseband pressing on it. That's why I always like to have this drop noseband on my young horses. It doesn't need to be very tight. Okay, now I've adjusted the noseband a little lower, and this kind of noseband need to be between the bit and the nose. If you put this kind of noseband like here, I'll show you what happens. This is a very common way to do this wrong. You put the noseband on. Oh, it gets a little tight here. So, but what happens? If you put the noseband like this, and you start pulling in the rein, this skin is really hurting. All right? So, this is not the way it's supposed to be. If you have a noseband above the bit, it needs to be 2 fingers away from the cheekbone. If you have the noseband lower, then it's going to hurt his mouth. like his skin here, his lip. Alright, so we don't want it that way. When you have a drop noseband on, you need to know it's supposed to be like this. If you think it's hard to remember how to attach this noseband, I want you to, before you ride, you always do like this. You try to pull in the rein. If you pull in the rein and the lip is fine, then you know it's on the right place. If you pull in the rein and it looks really uncomfortable, then you know you don't want to ride like that. And then you have the throat latch. And then you have the noseband. You measure 2 fingers over like this. Okay? So this is comfortable for the horse. The next thing, if you look in his neck, horses, especially fjord horses, they have a little big necks, you know. Yeah, they're handsome guys, they have a little big necks. So, especially stallions, this is not a stallion though, but sometimes it's very easy for the bridle to slide forward like this. And one thing is, when you ride in the indoor, it's not it's dangerous, but it's not crisis if the bridle slide a little forward. But if you're out driving or you're riding outside, you need the bridle to be where it's supposed to be. So I'll show you something that I always did when I was competing driving. For safety reasons. Like when you go to a stallion exhibition, you don't want to lose your bridle, because sometimes they just, they want to just, rub them a little bit or whatever, and then the bridle slides off. So I'll show you something. That's very good for safety of you, your horse, and others. Takes a little bit extra time, but it's certainly worth it. So I pull some part of the forelock. All right. So if you do this, the horse can rub his neck or as much as you want, but the bridle is not gonna come off. It's just right there. So I do this when I have young horses to an exhibition, especially stallions, and when I drive along roads, or when I drive in pairs. I always do it because horses in pairs, they tend to sometimes just scratch a little on the other horse, and then we don't want this to happen. So this is for safety. You make a braid and you're good to go, and you're a lot safer. All right, what do you think? What do you think? Oh, he's okay. Yeah. If you're gonna braid the whole forelock, you just pull it in front like this, and you just hide the braid in the forelock braid. So that's easy as well. And then you can go on, keep braiding. I'm not so fan of it. I just do it for safety, all right? But I like the fjords with a little forelock hanging loose. Handsome guy. Take the bridle off. So I undo the braid, undo the throat lash, undo the noseband. Keep the reins here. Hang on to my right hand is on his nose. It's a good thing to do like this. And then if you do it wrong, you do like this. That's not good. You heard hit his mouth, right? So spend some time. Let them spend some time. Figure it out. Sometimes I think it's good to pretend you're the horse. How would you like people to do? Right? If you're a horse, what person would you trust to hold on to your reins? I think that's a good thing to think about. Which person would you trust enough to hang on to your reins if you had a bit in your mouth? Be that person when you're around your horse. All right? Now, we'll take this bridle off slowly. Just keep it like this so he can decide when to let the bridle out and how to do it. Okay. And he likes to throw his head up, and that's to protect himself. He's not to be a bad guy, because he's not bad at all. He's a very good guy. When you're gonna bridle your horse, try to look at it from the horse's perspective. First, I want my horse to think about the bridle like there is something fun that's going to happen. So I want him to think about it in a positive way, and it's quite easy to make the horse think about it in a positive way. First of all, it's not always hard work when he gets the bridle on. Sometimes we just go for a walk. I put the bridle on my left arm, and then I put the reins over his head, and I keep them right behind the neck. Like that. When I take the halter off, I can control the horse. Very easy. So, like that. Then I take his halter off, and I put it back on like this. Then I keep my right hand on his nose, and I keep the bridle in my right hand, and I control the head. And then I have this little treat. So he knows he knows when he puts the bit in his mouth, he will get the treat. And then I put the other ear in, and the ear closest to me. And I make sure it's no fuss up here. I don't want the neck piece to press on his ears, and I don't want the brow band to be tight. It should be just lie still and not too close to the ears, a little bit down like this. So this guy enjoys having the bridle on. And then I make sure it's centered.
And the noseband is centered. And if you look here, this noseband is too high on the head. It's too close to the cheekbone. Let's just fix it. This is better. It's supposed to be room for 2 fingers in between the cheekbone and the English noseband. Make sure to adjust on both sides. This noseband has something we call a pullback, which easily makes the noseband way too tight. We don't want the noseband to be too tight. The good thing about it is it has a padding underneath, close to the jaw bones. So as long as this kind of noseband is not way too tight, I think it's a comfortable noseband for the horse. When we measure how tight the noseband can be, we want to have room for 2 fingers on top of the nose or underneath the jaw bones. The horse needs to be able to open his mouth and chew. So like this, 2 fingers underneath, on top. That's okay, this is fine. 2 fingers. You can measure underneath also, but then it's also supposed to be 2 fingers, room for 2 fingers. But if you measure on the side, it's not gonna work, because it should be room for more than 2 fingers on the side. So it's on top or underneath, you should measure how tight. We don't want the bridle to be tight and uncomfortable, but we want the bridle to lie still on the horse. So when the horse moves, it doesn't have any loose ends that smacks him in the face anywhere. So make sure you use the keepers so they're not moving around. These could have hit him in the eye if I didn't put them in the keepers. So make sure you do that. Use your keepers. And then we have the throat lash. It's supposed to be room for a clenched fist when you have tightened the throat lash. It's not going to be very tight like this. That's fine. And remember the keeper. Okay, I think we're all good with the bridle. He's such a cutie. Good boy. When we undo the bridle, and especially when you think about the throat lash, make sure you don't just throw it away. Make sure you have control over it so it doesn't smack the horse in the face on the other side. The horse doesn't like that. Another reason not to have the noseband too tight is because the horse's head is kind of shaped like a cone. So if you have, it's like a cone, it's like more narrow down. And if we have it really tight, it wants to travel down the noseband. And what happens? Yes, it presses on the neck. So that's another reason why it shouldn't be too tight. A too tight noseband doesn't only affect the nose. It presses a lot on the neck. And a lot of people don't think about it. But the neck is sensitive, and a tight noseband will hurt in the neck. Remember to hang on to the nose when you want to undo the bridle. You don't want the horse to take the head up and hurt his mouth and his teeth. So you hang on to the nose and you just slip the neck piece forward very slowly and make sure the horse is allowed to spit out the bit the way he wants himself. See? That's all, buddy. That's yours. Yes, that's yours. Good boy. You should also make sure your equipment, like your bridle, is cleaned regularly, just to make sure it's not worn out or faulty. The same way, you should make sure your horse is neat and clean. Another thing I'd like to show you. Okay, here we are, ready to go riding. When you want to take the halter off the horse, you make sure your reins is right behind the neck piece. And then you slip the halter over the horse's head. Then it's not being a mess. But if you do like this, you have the halter and the reins, and you have the halter on the neck, and you put the bridle on and the reins behind here, and then you take the halter off with the reins like this, then it's gonna be a little mess. See? Take the and then it's all stuck. Now what do I do? I was gonna go out riding. Okay. Either you can unbuckle here and there, or you can just put the halter back on, and you put the reins in front of the halter, in between the halter and the ears, and then you let it hang like this, and then you put the halter off. Then it's not gonna be a mess. Next thing, you undo the halter from the ropes, the cross ties. You undo it, not like this. Some people undo one side and then they think, okay, I'm ready to go. And they do like this and this. And that's a dangerous situation because people can stumble and horses can get stuck. It can be really dangerous. So please remember to unhook your halter and hang it on the wall. That's the safe way to do it. Letting the halter be lying on the floor, it's not a professional way of handling the equipment, and it's not safe. We want to make sure that both horses and people are safe in our barn.
This is Blanke. He's a red dun gelding. I'll show you this bridle, and I'll show you why it's attached the way it is. So you can look here and see. On the other bridle, if you see here, this noseband is attached here underneath the padding. All right, so it's only one padded area in the neck. But this here is another, maybe an older bridle, but it's very good. Then the noseband has this narrow leather, and a lot of people I see, they put this leather underneath to hide it. I guess maybe it looks nicer, I don't know, but I always prefer to have the noseband rein on top of the neck rein. That's because the neck rein is wider, so it puts the pressure on a bigger area. So the pressure from this narrow rein, we don't want that in the neck. That's why I have it on top. And the horse's head is like shaped like a cone. So if you have a tight noseband, which I don't have anyway, but some people have that, they want to have the noseband tight, and then the noseband would go further down on the nose, and then it would increase the pressure in the neck. We don't want that. First, open the halter just around the neck, putting the reins over like here, so I can control the horse. My right hand over, hanging onto the bridle like this, and I put my hand underneath, make sure it's not like this. I do not push, I just make sure it's positioned in between the teeth, and then I put my thumb in here and he will open his mouth, and I don't hit his teeth. So I hang onto his nose, and then I can grab the forelock like this. That's a good tips for kids. If you hang onto the bridle and the forelock, because if the head moves around, he doesn't lose the bit out of his mouth. So you hang onto the forelock and the bridle, and then you can find the ear. Put the ear underneath like this, and the other ear, and you make sure the big forelock is on the right place, and you try to get everything out of his eyes and other sensitive areas of the head. So like this, you have the neck is fine. Some social activities in the stalls over here. That's why you hear the banging on the door. And this drop noseband has buckles on top of the nose as well. So if you want this part to be longer, you can adjust them here like this. And sometimes you want to do that because you don't want this part to be too close to his eyes. That's why you want to adjust here. If this is too short, so like here, it's too short, then it goes too close to his eye. Then you need to adjust it like this and get it out of his eyes. You don't want this to be like this. That's uncomfortable. You want the horse to be very comfortable when he's with you, right? So then you adjust out like here. Now it's gotten a little too loose. I have 3 fingers underneath, it's a little too loose. So I'll tighten it 1 hole under here. Now I have 2 fingers here, that's fine. and it's not into his eyes. Then we have the throat lash. Remember, we want to have one fist underneath the throat lash, and we want to make sure it's not pressing on his ears, and the brow band is not over here. It's supposed to be here where it's a little loose. So all the reins on the bridle, we don't want them to be uncomfortably tight, but we don't either want them to be hanging loose, because when the horse moves, we want the bridle to be still on the horse's head. It's not going to disturb him. If we ride with no noseband on, especially young horses, and they open the mouth a lot because they don't know what to do, sometimes they get the tongue on the wrong side. If you look here, he has the tongue on the right side, like it's underneath the bit, but the horse is able to pull his tongue up and then put it over. But they need to open the mouth a lot to do that. So that's one reason we use noseband from the very beginning when we start young horses. We don't want the horse to learn how to put the tongue over. If it learns that, it's gonna do it every time anything like just bothers him a little. And when they get the tongue on the wrong side, I'll try to do it on purpose. Okay, now he has the tongue on the wrong side. Look. It's on the wrong side and it's uncomfortable. See? So they put it on the wrong side because they don't know better, and then they think it's uncomfortable. So now he has it on the right side again. He fixed it. He's a very good boy. He doesn't do wrong things. He does the right things, always. Yes, you have it like this. Yeah, you know it's supposed to be like that, huh? You don't do wrong things. If the horse likes to be with you, he would think it's a good idea to get the bridle on. It's not going to be hard to put the bridle on because the horse likes it. This guy is 3 years old, and he knows that when he gets the bridle on, we'll do fun stuff together. It's not hard. He never gets very hard tasks or awful work. he just hangs out with me, doing things in whatever. A noseband like this, throat like this. Make sure it's not gonna press and push anywhere. All right. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you can use my tips to make your horse enjoy having the bridle on, so you guys can have even maybe better times with your horses, and the horses with you. Det litt gøy når de gjør sånn. This is my filmer. She doesn't know that I'm... Hello?